What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Clueless Yanks podcast. It's your boy Logan.
What up, y'all? It's Jake.
Hola, it's Sling.
Pretty interesting weekend in just in sports in general. Had some good footy over the weekend, but hey, more importantly, we had some March Madness going on. Y'all boys tune into any of that?
All the March Madness
here and there.
All the March
Yeah, we got
Madness.
degenerate gambler Sling over here tuning in and betting all his money on it.
I currently have like two parlays open right now, and we've got big money on Colorado and Maryland tonight. So keep a look at.
The only advice I get: never bet $500 on one thing, especially when that's like a decent amount of your savings.
Why the hell would anybody do that?
Man, yeah, who the fuck did that?
Yeah, Jake. What an
All right. I don't fucking gamble.
Anyways, speaking of March Madness, shout out to my Gators. It's kind of a sad shout out. Yeah, shout out to them losing. Shout out, but unfortunately, their run in March Madness came to an end in the second round. Nice little game, nice little first round victory over Va Tech on Friday, but last night, no thanks to the referees for carrying Oral Roberts the first 35 minutes of the game. Carrying them. Yeah, I'm not even going to make the sexual joke that I could make in that situation with the name Oral Roberts, but and then Florida did choke in the last 5 minutes, so it's also on them as well. But their season unfortunately comes to an end, and the Cinderella story, Oral Roberts, continues. And hey, this March Madness has been crazy. There's a bunch of Cinderella stories going on. All right, so speaking of, let's get into the Big Six review from the week. We're going to start off with a big week for your Blues.
Yeah, no, huge week for us. Both 2-0 dubs in our two games that we played. Our first one was the second leg against Atletico. We ended up winning that one with an even better result than our first leg. We knew we had to come out and at least we could get a 0-0 draw and go through. We ended up winning 2-0. Our first goal, what was it? It was, Ziyech. I wanted to touch on this because this was a good confidence boost for him. He's kind of been iffy lately. I feel like he needed a goal to get that confidence up, and he got it against Atletico. And then in the 90th minute plus extra time, Emerson scores a late one to just seal the deal and put a dagger in it with a assist from Pulisic and a really nice run from him and Conte to draw away a defender that could have possibly stopped the counterattack. So good win for us then. Then we go on into the FA Cup and play Sheffield United. We get another 2-0 win against them. Once again, Hakeem Ziyech scored off of a nice pass from Chilwell. He had a nice little touch to bring it down and then slot it away in the bottom right corner. And then what was the other goal against them? Oh, yeah, it was an own goal. That's why I don't really remember it. Chilwell had a shot that was off target, and Oliver Norwood ended up trying to deflect it, and he just kind of deflected it into the back of the net. So we get a nice little 2-0 win against them. Pulisic, I want to touch on him, should have had 2 goals and ended up not scoring either of them. They were tough chances, but I feel like he should have at least put away one of them. He also had a really nice split in that game, but he was in between 3 defenders and ended up putting a skill move on all of them and getting by them. Unfortunately, didn't score after that, but he's definitely been playing better. I think he's been earning his minutes. It's looking good for him.
Moving on over to another side of London, Arsenal. An interesting week for them. Not the greatest week, but in the grand scheme of things, not a bad week as well. Poor performance against Olympiacos, lost 1-0, but we got the job done in the first leg and ultimately got the job done overall. We move through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League, 3-2 on aggregate, as we are now going to end up facing Slavia Prague, those racist pricks over there in the Czech Republic. Hopefully we teach them a lesson and run them off the pitch. But yeah, job done in the Europa League, and then we moved on to the game. The game of the weekend I'm sure it was a great watch for neutrals against West Ham. A horrid start, just absolutely terrible, awful start in the game. Went down 3-0 after 32 minutes. I was thinking the worst. I was thinking that it could be pretty bad. How are you feeling in that moment, Slim?
Man, the first 30 minutes of that match was really tough to watch. I just felt like we were kind of sleepwalking through the match. Uh,
Did you think there was any chance of a comeback at that point?
Absolutely fucking not. I
Neither did
literally
I.
went on Twitter like right after the third goal,
Yeah, I saw that
and
tweet.
I was like, "Don't even bother coming out in the second half, just terrible." And then I later like,
They read your tweets and they're like, all right, bet.
yeah, I'm glad they did because they were able to come back there in the second half and tie it up and steal some points away from West Ham there. So
Yeah, hey, we helped out.
Yeah,
We
thanks,
helped
by the
out
way.
Shake's team. Yeah, West Ham would have been level with Chelsea on
well, who
points.
gives a shit about
So
stupid ass?
you're
Shout
welcome.
out
I
Arsenal,
mean,
baby.
anyway,
But yeah, big goal right before halftime. I thought it was Lacazette's goal. Ended up going down as an own goal
yeah,
for Souček. It looked like it might have been going slightly wide, and he kind of redirected it into the corner. But it got us back into the game and gave us a lifeline at 3-1. And then second half, I thought we were really, really good. Shout out Martin Odegaard. That was one of the better performances I've seen from an Arsenal number 10 in years. I mean, I'm thinking maybe back to Mesut Ozil against Leicester back in 2018. So just an incredible performance by him. I really, really need Arsenal to just let's not mess around. Look, we've been a better side ever since he along with Emil Smith Rowe came into the side. Just their creative presence at that number 10 role as true number 10s, and don't mess around. Get this dude permanently at our club. Last week we said like 50 million, 50 million or less. We take it. I'm saying 60 now. It went up 10
70,
million for me after this past week.
80,
You know what? Screw it. Okay, we got to draw the line somewhere.
90.
You know what's funny is that Real Madrid have like crazy ass buyouts because in La Liga the rule is you have to have a buyout for every single player. Um, and so the way buyouts work, obviously, is if a team comes in and pays that buyout, there's no negotiations with the club. There's no nothing. That player is bought from that club. You can't do anything about it. That's how Arsenal were able to steal Thomas Partey on the final deadline day during the summer, was paying that buyout because Atletico were being they wouldn't negotiate with us really at all. And Martin Odegaard's buyout is 350 million. So I
Yeah,
don't think we're
no,
going to end up paying that. I don't think anybody will ever pay that.
no.
But I think that's just there. I mean, they have a guy Nacho Fernandez who's like a backup center back. His buyout's 300 million. So I guess that's just what Real Madrid do. They just put insane buyouts that they know no one will ever pay. So, but 60 million, give it to 50, 60 million, give it to him, and get him permanently in London. That's all I have to say.
I agree.
And he was a pivotal part in springing that comeback. Pepe once again involved in a key goal, beautiful cross to Lacazette that got us that equalizer in like the 82nd minute of the game. I thought Callum Chambers was really good. He's out here putting in better crosses at the right back position, even though he's a center back, than Hector Bellerin has put in this entire season. So that's kind of interesting to me how a center back can be better at crossing than him. But anyways, I digress. And before the game, I mean, you say a draw against West Ham, fifth place West Ham at West Ham. That's not a bad result at all.
No.
So I'm not going to be upset about that, and I'm proud of the fight and passion and desire that they showed to get back into the game. And it's something that is, in my opinion, we've seen change under Arteta, and it's we still have these individual errors. I don't know if any manager can fix some of these guys the way that they just make errors on their own. And you see some of the frailties that we still have, which was highlighted very well by going 3-0 down. But I've seen that go sideways very quickly for Arsenal before. I've seen it turn into 6-0. I've seen it turn into 5-1. But instead, we turned it around, and when you're thinking the worst, they turn it around and they get you a 3-3 result. So a really exciting game. It was stressful as an Arsenal fan. I'm sure neutrals really enjoyed it. But hey, happy to be coming out of there with at least something to hold on to.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like 3-0, man. I mean, that was ridiculous. Like, although two of our goals did go down as own goals, I mean, we were putting them in. And like you said, that Pepe ball, man, like he does not get enough respect. I'm getting sick and tired of. I talk about it all the time. Like that man does not get enough respect. I'm just sick and tired of asking for respect for Pepe when shouldn't have to. It should be shown.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up. I have my feelings on it, but Who do you think should be the number 9 for Arsenal Football Club going forward for the rest of the season? So,
As bad as I want to say Aubameyang, I feel like Waka has kind of has earned the 9 spot over the last few weeks here. I feel like Aubameyang has not been the best form. There's been a little bit of a character issue as of late. Obviously, was sat for the North London Derby for showing up late. And I mean, honestly, Lacazette has been linking up better up top there with guys like Pepe and Saka. So that's who I think the top 3 should be.
yeah, I agree. I feel like we progressively like going forward and build up play and playing the way that Arteta wants to play, which is kind of similar to how Manchester City plays. He wants to put the ball into a striker where he can kill it with his, have a good touch and kill the ball and then link up with his teammates around him. And, regardless of how, Aubameyang over years and years now has been a world-class finisher, he's not really good at those other things. And, but you've seen at Arsenal, it's like, okay, well, whatever, he's going to bag us 20-plus goals a season, so you can deal with the fact that he's not brilliant at intricate play with his teammates. But it's this season. I mean, he hasn't even been great at that. He's not going to score 20-plus goals this season in the league. There's no shot at that. And Lacazette, now he has more goals and assists than anybody else in the club this season for us. So I mean, the only thing Aubameyang has done better this year is he runs faster. Which okay, great. But what else do you do for me? Lacazette's better at holding the ball up. He's better at linking the play with his teammates, playing quick little 1-2s, playing in tight spaces. He's a better passer, got better vision. And, he's been just as good of a finisher and arguably even better than Aubameyang this season. So I would really like, when we get back from the international break, I would like to see Lacazette get a run on the side for at least 3 or 4 games. And I think Aubameyang could use his time on the bench to maybe, realize the situation and know. I'm sure he probably knows that he's not playing good enough. But I think some time on the bench could really kind of light a fire under him and then possibly get him back to his old self.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, moving on. We go from the City of London to we'll come back to the City of London later, but we're going to give it some time to simmer. We'll move on to the City of Manchester now. Manchester City. They had a pair of 2-0 victories over the week. A good victory over Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Champions League, 2-0 W over them to see their way through to the quarterfinals, and then they got the win over Everton on the weekend 2-0 as well. Not a vintage Man City performance by any means. I thought that they would take it to Everton a lot more than they actually did. It was a late goal from Gundogan in like the 84th minute off of a rebound. Gundogan doing what he's been doing this whole season, just being in the right place at the right time, scoring goals, almost being just a striker from the midfield position. And he got the header off of a shot off the bar from Laporte and got the header to give them the 1-0 lead. And then Kevin De Bruyne scored a really nice goal in extra time, in injury time, to give them the 2-0 lead and really wrap up that result for them. And they move on to the semifinals of the FA Cup, where they are going to
lose to
out
Chelsea.
I don't know if that's what I would say, but
bullshit, buddy.
Sure.
It's what I'd say.
Bullshit, buddy.
We will see about that. But yeah, the machine keeps rolling. That is Manchester City. No kinks in their armor. They're looking really, really good. And the quadruple is still on for them. They are in the final of the League Cup. They're in the semifinals of the FA Cup, quarterfinals of the Champions League. And then obviously they're like 70 points clear in the Premier League. So they could be the first team in England to do it. Who knows? Yep. On to the other team in Manchester. We have Manchester United. Big result for them during the midweek. Me and Jake kind of had written them off. We both picked AC Milan to pull through, but they let us down. And United, they got a big 1-0 victory in that game. Ibra wasn't able to provide any late game magic when he was subbed on, unfortunately. And United, they move on to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. They will be playing Granada from La Liga. Both United and Arsenal got very favorable quarterfinal matchups. I appreciate that from an Arsenal perspective. Kind of wish United would have gotten like Roma or something, but that's who they would have to play in the semifinals. They'd have to play either Roma or Ajax, so that won't be easy for them. But they move on in that competition, looking to be a little bit of a confidence boost, and then they kind of shit the bed against Leicester over the weekend. A 3-1 loss to Leicester in the FA Cup. Ole has been known notoriously for, he always loses in semifinals of cup competitions. Well, he said, you know what, haters? I don't do that anymore. I lose in quarterfinals instead. And it goes out to Leicester in the quarterfinals. Kelechi Iheanacho with a brace. Shout out, Gutson's Foxes getting the dub, moving on to the FA Cup semifinals where they got a favorable. That is a cat, not a fox.
Close enough.
The fox says ring ding 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 ding. Okay,
Oh,
come on.
yeah.
We were taught this before. Anyways, they move on. They get a favorable draw in the FA Cup. They get to play Southampton as they look to win their first trophy since winning the league in 2015-16. Just not a good performance by United. Fred with a calamitous mistake in the first half to give Leicester the 1-0 lead. Just passes it backwards and passes it directly to Iheanacho, and he dribbles around Henderson and slots it away for a 1-0 lead. United did get an equalizer before halftime, but then Leicester get the lead back through Yuri Tielemans. Really nice goal for him. I don't know if teams think that he can't shoot because Arsenal did the exact same thing. We just let him run straight at our defense and take an uncontested shot on goal. And then United basically let him do the exact same thing, except instead of it being from the side, it came directly through the middle, which is maybe even worse. And he took an unmarked shot. He was at the top of the box, basically wide open. You had to drive right into it and set up a shot and slot it into the far corner. And then Iheanacho sealed the game later on with about 15 minutes to go with a header at the back post to make it 3-1. And, United bounce out of the FA Cup. And I think we're starting to see some of those frailties from United that we've kind of seen all season. I think some United fans have even seen it themselves, but I think a majority of their fan base thinks that we're second in the league. We're having a good season. We're only one spot off of winning the league, even though they're double-digit points behind Man City. But they've won a lot of games by one goal. They've won a lot of games by the odd penalty, the odd deflected or own goal that gets them through at the end of the day. And I think they've squeaked by a lot of results this season, and I think it's covered up a lot of their frailties. And I think that some of those came to light over the weekend against Leicester, and it kind of bit them in the butt in the end.
Ow.
Darn.
We were real torn up about that. Now, moving into something that I'm going to enjoy a little bit, something that we will all enjoy. We move back into London. We go from London to Manchester, back to London. Obviously, no Liverpool this week. They didn't play any games, but back into North London specifically, and the little runts of North London. That is the microscopic club that is Tottenham Hotspur. Look, we'll just get this out of the way. You had a nice little bounce back win yesterday over Aston Villa. Nice little win over them, 2-0. Nonetheless, being without Jack Grealish. Aston Villa are a completely different team without Jack Grealish, but okay, nice little win. We'll just touch on that. Just want to touch on that real quick. Now let's get into the most important part. That's what happened prior to that. They lost to North London Derby last weekend. We're talking elite shit. Lost to North London Derby. Got absolutely dominated. Very lucky that the scoreline only sat 2-1. Could have been a hell of a lot worse. And then the scoreline was a hell of a lot worse on Thursday. Dinamo Zagreb, my Croatian Kings, getting the 3-0 dub in extra time over Spurs to knock Spurs out of the Europa League. Spurs got a perfect win in their first leg. Home leg win, 2-0. A solid commanding lead. And also on top of that, you don't give up an away goal. So, if we go to Croatia, all we got to do is score one goal, and then they're going to have to score 4 against us to beat us. They didn't score any. Dinamo got the equalizer late in regular time to make it 2-2 or 2-0. Well, 2-2 on aggregate. I remember the Arsenal game had just wrapped up, and I checked the Spurs Zagreb game, and I was like, holy shit, it's 2-0. They're going extra time. And I tuned in for the extra time. And then my boy Orsic finished off his hat trick in style.
With a
beautiful goals from him in that game. His first and his third were just great goals. He is welcome in North London anytime. I'm sure plenty of people in North London, the right side of North London, will buy him as many drinks as he wants. So shout out to him. He sealed the deal for Spurs. Harry Kane kind of choked, had a tap in at the back post off of a rebound. And granted, it was a good save by the goalie, but he put it dead middle of the goal. Whereas if he just slots it near post to where he's at, the goalie has no chance of recovering and making that save. And Spurs, they crash out of Europa League. It's just an arrogant fan base. They think that they're so much better than they actually are. It's wild as that this podcast is focused around the Big Six, and we talk about the U.S. men's national team as well, and we talk about the Premier League as a whole. But it's really focused around the Big Six, and it's funny because Spurs are a part of the Big Six, but you think about it, I mean, why are they a part of the Big Six? They don't win anything. So, and you look at history; they've won a few league titles, back in like the 1600s. So great. I guess they do technically
2000
have.
BC.
I guess technically they are sixth place in England with the most amount of trophies, so I guess that's why they're part of the Big Six. But I mean, all these Big Six teams, Chelsea in recent years, they've won Champions League. They've won the league a few times. They've won FA Cups. City, they've won the league a few times. They've won FA Cups. They've won League Cups. United, it's been a little bit since they've won the league, but they have won the league, within the last 10 years, and they've won FA Cups on top of that. Arsenal, they've won FA Cups. And they won the league multiple times in the Premier League era. And then even Liverpool, they've won the Champions League and league recently. Spurs, they've won fuck all since 2009. And that trophy they got that year was a League Cup trophy, which is the definition of a Mickey Mouse trophy. So, you just are barely holding on to your Big Six title, and yet you think that you're up there with the likes of the big boys in the league, and you think that we're title challengers and we're the best thing going. Trophy Mourinho, champagne football, everything's all great. And once again, brought back down to earth. As my boy Chiellini has said in the past, it is the history of the Tottenham. You choke in big games, you're bottlers.
Chiellini.
Jose Mickey Mourinho.
It's happened again, Tottenham Hotspur. It's happened again. So, Sling, moving on from. That's our Big Six review for the week. Unfortunately, for some of us in this pod, there's only 3 weeks worth of picks this week. So speaking of Mickey Mouse trophies, let's go ahead and give out our Mickey Mouse trophy of who won the picks this week.
But he's just mad
because we have an international break. We have an international break, so I only got 3 weeks. To be fair, we all got 3 weeks, but only 3 weeks of picks. And let's go ahead and crown our Mickey Mouse winners. So.
Jake,
come crown me.
Jake,
baby.
with 21 points, I give you your Mickey Mouse trophy for the month of March. Here you go.
Yes, sir.
All I hear is weeping.
Here's your Mickey ears on your Lay Mickey head.
That crown. Lay Mickey. Oh, yes, sir.
Unfortunately, Logan, who was a champion last month, finished in last.
How many points did he get?
17.
Ooh. 38.
Hey! Logan finished in last with 17 points. I came in second again. I swear, I'm like fucking
mid-table Sling FC.
I'm like Chick Hicks, man. I can't get past the number one. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'll make up for it next month, hopefully. But Jake gets his Mickey Mouse trophy this month, and Logan has a punishment coming towards his way. So I had 4 perfect picks this week. I think that's worth noting. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, you had a nice little performance because you were in last going into this.
I had a nice little comeback.
That's 2 months in a row that you were last going into the final week, and you were able to at least avoid avoid last place. So that's a silver lining, I guess, for you.
Yep. Silver lining is that I'll be back again next month, and hopefully I can win me a Piston Cup. Who knows, man? But me and Jake will have to think of a punishment for you after me and you think of a punishment for him. So that's fun. That wraps up our picks for March.
It's time to bounce back next month for me. We move, ladies and gentlemen. We move. Anyways, so that almost wraps up our Premier League talk for the pod. We will give some predictions regarding the Europa League, Champions League, and then kind of our league table predictions at the end of the season. At the end, but before we do that, we want to jump into our U.S. men's national team rundown. A pretty big week for our Yanks abroad and our Yanks over in Mexico in the Olympic qualifiers. But Jake, start us off.
All right, we're going to start off in Spain in the La Liga. Starting off with Serginho Dest. Puts in a huge performance for Barcelona over the weekend in a win over Real Sociedad. He bagged his first career La Liga goal and then shortly followed it up with his second to secure that brace. So that was sick.
Yeah, first American to ever score a brace in La Liga. That's kind of surprising. I know we haven't had a ton of players that played in La Liga, but I know Josie Altidore had like a decent run in La Liga for like a season or two. I'm kind of surprised he never scored a brace, but right back is the first guy to ever score a brace for us in La Liga, and he does it for one of the biggest clubs in the world for Barcelona. The guy's just getting assists from Messi and then celebrating with him.
Yeah.
It's a rough life.
I mean, the GOAT and Messi, what can you say,
Yeah, and El Tree fans are once again in the mud.
Weeping.
Their brilliant young player in La Liga, Diego Lainez, has 0 goals, and he's a winger, and he plays for Real Betis. And yet our right back plays for FC Barcelona and has 2 goals. So, just want to let y'all know the levels. It's levels to this.
It's different over here in the States.
It is.
Well, anyways, then we're going to jump over into England. Christian Pulisic got an assist to top off an impressive round of 16 win for Chelsea in the Champions League. He then followed it up on the weekend with a start in an FA Cup victory where he showed some great flashes of skill and ended up winning man of the match for the game. I would also like to go in on that. I know you definitely saw the where he was in the box surrounded by 3 Sheffield United guys and split all of them. Unfortunately, didn't score that one. He also had another chance in that game to put away a goal, which I thought he should have, or at least
I saw some people saying that he should have scored
over to Giroud, like for an easy tap in, but he was off balance at first and had to catch up to the ball, so I'll give him a break.
That was that nice little. I think it's called like the Elastico Skill. I think Ronaldo and like Neymar, they're like the guys that do it the most.
Yeah,
Ronaldo doesn't really dribble anymore, but he used to do it. Where like you kind of drag it on one side of your foot, but then pull it back and then also go back in the same direction again after you get around the player. So that was pretty nice. And hey, you gotta start. Played pretty good in it. Hopefully, he can continue that form over into the international break, and also maybe Tuchel will give him some starts going forward now.
Dude, and that skill move that you were talking about, I saw people dogging him. Like saying that was like the worst, whatever it's called that they've seen.
Well, I mean, the only motherfuckers I've seen do that shit is like Ronaldo and Neymar and people like that.
I was like, first off, not many people do that.
That's a really hard skill.
It worked. And third,
he broke like 3 guys.
Yeah, 3. I was like, how are you going to criticize this by saying, it didn't look good?
That was 100% El Tree Twitter. They can't accept that any American is halfway decent at football. So,
I mean, we literally just live rent-free. That's wild. And then we're going to stay in the Premier League. Go over to the Heart in goal. Zach Steffen also got some action in the FA Cup over the weekend as he started for Man City and kept a clean sheet in a 2-0 victory over Everton.
Yeah, he had like a little shaky moment at the beginning of the game. I don't know if y'all saw that, but like he came out to clear a ball. Did a good job, sweeper keeper action, which is what Ederson does so well, better than really anybody else. And he came out and was clearing the ball, and he like basically missed the ball almost. But luckily, I believe it might have been, I think it was Ruben Diaz was there to clear it before Calvert-Lewin could get onto it, or else that would have been a little bit of a calamity. But he gets a clean sheet. He's now 10-0 as the goalie at Man City. Clearly by that he's probably the greatest goalie of all time, just based on that record. So
absolutely.
So looking forward to him.
The best team in the world. 10-0. I mean, nobody's ever better.
Looking forward to him translating that over into the friendlies coming up for the national team.
I can't wait. All right, so we're going to stay in England, but we're going to go down a league. Down in the Championship, Daryl Dike got his first career brace for Barnsley in a 3-1 midweek victory over Wycombe Wanderers. Barnsley did, however, finally lose their first league game with Dike over the weekend, but they still stand strong at 5th place in the Championship.
Yeah, I think they were 14 or 15 games unbeaten in the league with DK. And it had to eventually come to the end. They lost, I want to say it was a 3-2 loss over the weekend to, I'm drawing a blank on who they lost to, but they still, I think they're 5 points clear. They're 2 points clear of 6th place in the championship, but more importantly, they're 5 points clear of 7th place. And obviously those 3 through 6 spots get them into those championship playoffs to get promoted into the Premier League. I was watching that game where he got his brace. Really his first goal was just elite physicality. They kind of chipped the ball into the box. I think it actually might have been like a flip on header if I'm remembering correctly. And basically the ball was just kind of hanging up in the air, and he pretty much just went and jumped over all of the defenders. And I think the goalie even came out too, and he jumped over him as well. And headed into the back of the net. And then his second goal was it was really good. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want to see from a center forward. It was a really good cross from the Barnsley player around the first man, and DK just, he anticipated it and stuck his leg out, got a foot on it, and finished it at the near post. Not an easy finish at all. And yeah, he's looked really good. We talked about, I think it was last week, that there was reports of, a Big Six club coming in and bidding 10 million pounds for him. And he's kind of starting to show why he's getting those looks from bigger teams. I think that he's a guy that I knew of before he moved to Barnsley, because I know they had that MLS's back tournament when they first came back from COVID, and he was really good in that. And then he had a decent regular season as well for Orlando City in the MLS. But I think he's already really improved as a player in the championship. Learned how to use his physicality. And funny enough, in that Wycombe Wanderers game, they have the strongest man in football on that team, Adebayo Fenwa. And then apparently the second strongest man, at least according to FIFA, is Daryl DK. And so I saw they swapped shirts after the game. That was pretty cool. And Adebayo said that he's a baller, and he's impressed with how good he is, especially at only 20 years old. So hopefully DK can, once again, another guy, that's getting called up to the friendlies here in a week, and excited to see him play for the national team.
Yeah, getting elite Altidore vibes from DK.
Except better. And then prayers up. He hasn't had any injuries so far, like Altidore kind of suffered throughout his career.
One of those. But yeah, no, he's definitely looking promising. Hopping out of England over into Germany, Chris Richards atoned for an early mistake with a beautiful assist for Hoffenheim in a 1-1 draw versus Mainz.
I think it's pronounced Mainz. Probably should have told you how to pronounce that in the first place. A little German pronunciation, but yeah, Mainz. He had a terrible mistake earlier in the game. It was like within the first minute or two of the game, he got the ball passed back to him, and he kind of had a bad touch, and then tried to steal off the striker, but the striker just picked it off the side of his foot, and was through on goal and scored, and gave Mainz the early 1-0 lead. But then he made a pass with his weak foot, his left foot, like a 30, 40-yard pass over the top to Bebu. It was with his weak foot, his left foot. I mean, it was a really, really good pass. Even with his right foot, it would have been a really impressive pass, especially from a center back. He dropped it right in behind the defender, and it was well taken by Bebu. And so he made a mistake to give Mainz the lead, but then made up for it with a beautiful assist to get Hoffenheim back into the game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to find a winner. They got the 1-1 draw against Mainz.
Staying in the German league, our other German fellows, Josh Sargent and John Brooks battled it out over the weekend, in which Brooks got the best of the American once again in a 2-1 victory. Sargent scored an unfortunate own goal in the match.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know if y'all saw it, but he was trying to head the ball. It was off of a free kick, and he put his head down to head it. And obviously, he's trying to get it to come off near his forehead and head it back out into the play, but it went off the back of his head and just looped right over the goalie for an own goal. So kind of rough.
That's kind of fine though.
Which, speaking of that, there's been some Americans scoring own goals lately. We obviously talked about Mioska last week. Cameron Carter-Vickers had kind of a bad own goal in that game against Southampton in the FA Cup, but the guy was the tip of the dude's shoulder was offside, so it got called back, so it didn't actually count. So,
yep,
only 2 own goals in the last couple weeks for our national teamers.
Let's go. But anyways, the result of that game keeps Wolfsburg firmly in the third spot in the table and pushes them to 8 points clear of challengers for those pivotal Champions League spots.
I'm getting excited. I'm ready to see John Brooks in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, so
I think that he's been such an underrated defender. He's been an established starter in the Bundesliga for 4 or 5 years now. And I think he even was in the team of the season 1 year. And he's always been really solid. The problem is that a couple of the past seasons he's kind of been up and down with injuries. But he's been healthy for most of this season. And I think that, Wolfsburg, they have one of the best defenses in the Bundesliga. And I think that people are starting to see, outside of just the people that really follow the Bundesliga closely, I think they're starting to see that, this guy's got quality. He's a pretty good player.
They're actually second in the Bundesliga for goals allowed, only allowing 22. The only team better is Leipzig with 21.
Yeah,
so they're
really marshaling that defense well.
Yeah. But yeah, Americans were bagging goals in abundance over the weekend in Europe. Winger Tyler Boyd got a quick fire brace for Sivasspor For Sivasspor in the Turkish league, Jordan Saibachu got a goal and an assist for Young Boys in Switzerland, and DeAndre Yedlin even got a goal for Galatasaray.
Yeah, I mean, Yedlin got his goal, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to correlate it with Yedlin, but Galatasaray was like first in the Turkish league when he came. Pause. And and they've lost like several games recently, so
But it has nothing to do with
nothing. It's a coincidence. Not your fault, DeAndre.
Oh, God. Well, I will say though, like even though that is kind of a bad, correlation, Berhalter has actually been kind of praising him recently for his performances.
Yeah,
and he's been talking about,
Berhalter. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what did I say?
No, it's Berhalter, not Berhalter.
Oh, fuck, close enough. Greg. I'll just say Greg.
It's like, what are you over there giggling at?
Greg. But yeah, that was it for our boys across seas. But yeah, let's get into the U-23 Olympic qualifiers.
Yeah, so a good result against Costa Rica. They had the two games this week, the Costa Rican game and the Dominican Republic game. Basically, both were seen as must-wins. Like we said last week, the way the Olympic qualifiers work is it's two groups of four. You play each team once, obviously, and then the top two of each group moves on to the semifinals. The two groups play each other in the semifinals, and then whoever wins those two semifinals not only plays for obviously plays for the final in those qualifiers, but those two teams are through to the Olympics. Those last two spots up for grabs in Tokyo in a few months time. And it is the Costa Rica game with Mexico. They've got a real quality youth side. And so we knew that kind of Costa Rica was a big game. We needed to win that game, and it wasn't pretty, especially like the last 20 minutes or so of that game. But they got the 1-0 victory, and then they got the job done there. It was a pretty decent little goal. Good awareness by Jesus Ferreira at the back post to put home Sam Vine's cross. And then they came out against Dominican Republic, and I'm not gonna lie, they were kind of pitiful in that first half. We watched the Dominican Republic versus Mexico, and they're just not a fantastic side. Mexico handled them 4-1, and the U.S. in that first half it was 0-0 at halftime. They didn't really create much, but then a second half they came out, they made some substitutions, and they really took it to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So they're through. With Mexico, they ended up beating Costa Rica last night. So it's now Mexico and the U.S. are through to the semifinals. They will play, I believe, on Wednesday to see who wins the group. I don't really think it matters that much. Basically, from what I read and what I was told, is that the two best teams in the tournament are the U.S. and Mexico, and then even arguably the third best team in the tournament was Costa Rica. So basically, the consensus is that you get through the semifinals. It doesn't really matter if you play the first or second seed from that group. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Canada and Honduras coming through from the other side. But either team, I think they're kind of level. I don't think there's necessarily a team you'd rather play other than the other one. And it's two teams that the U.S. should be capable of beating, and getting that first Olympic qualifying, since 2008. That would be massive. I want to talk about some of the players in that game because we kind of broke down the roster, or we talked a little bit about the roster last week, and I said that I think I don't know if I said it in the pod, but before the game, they had the starting lineup against Costa Rica, and I was like, I don't even know who three of those players are in the lineup.
No, we definitely brought it up on the pod, saying how midfield looked okay, and our attackers looked okay, but our defense was we were like, what the fuck?
And then even part of our midfield was okay, was about it.
Yeah,
and we still weren't very confident on that. I mean, obviously, you look at the defense. We got 2 clean sheets, so you can't look that it wasn't that bad. I thought
you definitely saw the whole.
There was some shakiness against Costa Rica, some playing out of the back that did not work very well. Pineda had a rough little game,
abysmal,
and against Costa Rica, got away with a few things. I thought Justin Glad, he also made a couple bad passes, but I think from a defensive standpoint, he was really good. Kind of marshaling that. Him and Jackson Yule are kind of the veterans on the team. I think they're both 24, because they pushed the Olympics back by 1 year, so it turns from a U23 Olympics to a U24 Olympic qualifiers. So I thought they were really good, but I have to say I did not know much about Hassani Dotson before this tournament, the midfielder for the U.S. And I think he's been their best player so far. I thought he played really well. I thought he was kind of running that midfield against Costa Rica for large portions of the game. And then he didn't start yesterday against the Dominican Republic. But when they brought him on, the game just completely changed. And he scored a brace, 2 really nice goals, perfectly slotted into the far corners. So he's a guy that I looked at this team and I was kind of thinking, like I said it last week. We were kind of like, this is almost for a lot of these guys, it's their chance to play in the biggest games they'll ever play for. In the Olympics, because the reality of the situation is that not even half of these guys are probably ever going to play meaningful games for the senior team. And we talked about guys like Ferreira. We expect to see him in the senior team. We expect to see Soto in the senior team. We expect to even see Sam Vines in the senior team. I feel like there's a couple. Araujo probably will be in the senior team at some point down the road. Yeah. But outside of those guys, we weren't like you look at guys project to the next level, the senior team level, and we didn't really see a lot of guys that would project, on a consistent basis. But I was really impressed with Dotson. Plays in the MLS. I don't know if there's a move to Europe in his future, but he could be kind of like this next generation Sebastian Lejet, just that really solid midfielder that plays in the MLS and will always do a job for you. I think he's a good athlete. He carries the ball really well, which I think is something that's very underrated. In the U.S., we're not always known for midfielders that are going to get the ball and carry it and take it past defenders and everything. And he showed in that Dominican Republic game, he even has a goal scoring side to him. So I was really impressed by him. And look, the U-23s, they got the job done, and they will be moving on to the semifinals now. And then on Wednesday, it's just time to let's play for some pride. Let's get that victory against Mexico. Or you know what? I'm okay with not getting the victory, but let's beat them let's get to the final and beat them there.
Amen.
All right, so now speaking of the senior team, let's get into a little bit of a rundown of the roster. And we obviously don't have preview games for the Premier League this week, so we are going to preview the friendlies against Jamaica and Northern Ireland coming up this week. I believe Thursday and Sunday is when they play those games. Break down the roster real quick. Ethan Horvath, or we'll start with goalkeepers. It's Ethan Horvath, Zach Steffen. No surprise with those two. They're probably, honestly, our 2 best goalkeepers at this moment in time. And then we have Odunze. I think that's how you pronounce it. From Leicester City. He's a dual national. He was called into the friendlies in November. He's called in again. He didn't get his debut when he got called into the friendlies before, when they played Wales and Panama. I kind of hope he does get his debut, but at the same time, Steffen and Horvath both also deserve starts, so I don't know how that's going to work. But he's an 18-year-old in Leicester City's system. Obviously he's got to be a pretty decent little prospect there. And I don't really have any problem with those goalkeepers. I'm not surprised we're not going to really see any MLS guys. There are a few in this team, but we're not going to see much. I don't think I had really any problems with those goalkeepers. What about you?
No, I like him. I think Zach Steffen obviously is our number one. He's getting time at Man City, and we were talking about earlier, he's undefeated. He's got a good team in front of him, so that helps. But you still got to be able to put in saves against quality sides.
And being the backup at Man City is no shame. You got one of the best boys in the world ahead of you in Ederson.
And I think the true number 2 for us right now is Horvath. He's proven himself to be a solid goalkeeper at Bruges. And I haven't seen Chituru Odunze play at all, so I honestly don't.
Yeah, I haven't either, actually. I don't think I'm pretty sure he's not made a senior debut for Leicester. I think he just kind of plays in the academy sides, and then he was called into, like I said, he was called into a prior national team camp, and he didn't actually play. But he is an 18-year-old. It is highly rated at Leicester from what I've heard. And so hopefully he's a dual national, so obviously he's not committed to any team. But that's 2 windows in a row that we've called him up for friendlies, and he's came in and worked with us. So
yeah, that and plus being at Leicester City, he's got a good guy in front of him to learn from.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and then also, I don't know how I don't bring this up. Speaking of goalkeepers, it would be a travesty for us not to mention David Ochoa in the.
Oh yeah, he played his ass off. Didn't he get man of the match against Costa
Rica? Yeah.
He put in some huge saves that game.
He was He was brilliant. 20 years old. I mean, I don't normally. It's not normally something you see from goalies, but he kind of has like almost like a little bit of like a swagger and like presence about him that I really like.
He's confident.
Yeah, he's super confident, which that's pretty much half the battle as a goalie. So you think about kind of that next generation of goalies because I think Horvath and Stefan are kind of around that 26-6-year-old age, and then you have Adunze, like we just said, he's 18. Ochoa is 20. Now, granted, I mean Zach Steffen in goalkeeper years, he's really only like 21 years old,
Yeah,
so
he's young.
so he could be the goalie for the next 10 years. But you are looking at 6 or 7 years later, you have kind of that next generation, and I think we're definitely in good hands with David Ochoa, and then Adunze. Hopefully, he can come through as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the positions that we've never had to worry about at goalie for the United States.
Like the only one. It's always been a constant for the men's national team.
Yeah.
All right, so moving to the defenders, we've got John Brooks from Wolfsburg, no doubter there.
Oh, baby.
Also at center back, there's Aaron Long. He made the trip across the pond, coming from the MLS. I'm not upset with that at all. He's definitely in one of our top 4 center backs. Matt Mioska, European-based player. He's obviously going to get the call up. A regular starter for Anderlecht in the Belgian league. Hopefully no own goals for us. He leaves us in Belgium. But Eric Palmer-Brown, I like him getting called up. He has played pretty well over there for Austria Vienna and obviously Austria. I was kind of disappointed in Mark McKenzie not being called up, but wasn't he one of those guys that they said was only going to be able to play one game?
I think so.
So maybe that's why he didn't get called up, because I thought if I had to choose between him or Eric Palmer-Brown, I probably would have chose McKenzie, but not disappointed either way. Tim Ream gets the call up. I think he's just a steady Eddie.
He's a vet.
Yeah, he's a vet. Provides some experience for these younger guys, so I'm not too upset at that. And then Chris Richards, he gets a call up. I really hope and pray that when we play Jamaica, which is going to be a good Jamaican side. I looked all over the internet. I looked on Twitter looking for the Jamaican roster. I didn't see anything, but I would assume that they're going to have, the usual suspects. They've always been a respectable team, but, recently over the last couple of years, they've added Leon Bailey out of Bayer Leverkusen, who's a really solid player. And then just a few weeks ago, they added Mikel Antonio, who just scored against Arsenal yesterday. So
that could be a deadly link up.
Yeah,
if you're not safe with the back line.
So yeah, that'll be a pretty good little test. I think that's going to be a pretty good game. But I really hope that we do have that Bundesliga connection at the back line with John Brooks. Your left-footed center back, and then Chris Richards, your right-footed center back. And I think they'd be a good pairing because Brooks is like that, smart, savvy defender. He's got real good physical presence. But not the greatest pace in the world. But Richards has really good pace. He's a real athletic center back, and I think he's a perfect complement to Brooks. So I'm hoping that's our center back pairing against Jamaica.
Yeah, and I think it's huge because Brooks has gotten that experience, and he's played on the biggest stage of them all in the World Cup, and he's performed. So that's going to be big for Chris Richards. He can definitely learn from him.
Yeah, and then looking at the fullbacks, Reggie Cannon from Boa Vista in the Portuguese league, he gets a call up along with Serginho Dest. No brainer there. Just scored a brace. I'm sure his confidence will be running high. And then we have Anthony Robinson from Fulham. He gets called in, probably our number 1 left back at the moment. I'm kind of surprised that we called in that many center backs and didn't call in like a Yedlin.
Yeah, but don't forget about Brian Reynolds.
That's right. Yeah, right back. That's true. I forgot about him. I could see maybe Reynolds plays right back one game, and then they switch Dest over to left back. And then the other game, obviously you have Anthony Robinson. But yeah, I totally forgot about Reynolds. He hasn't made a debut for the national team, so maybe he will get he got his debut for Roma a couple weeks ago, and hopefully he'll get his debut for the U.S. coming up. Don't really have too much of an issue with those. We really only have one. I think our second best left back, honestly, in my opinion right now, is Sam Vines, and he's in Mexico playing in the U-23 World Cup qualifiers. So obviously he's not going to be called up. And then you do have guys. Both Dest and Cannon can play left back. They've played left back before for the national team. Yedlin can play it as well. That's why I was kind of disappointed why he wasn't called in. But I do understand Berhalter wanting to give Brian Reynolds a potential debut, so I kind of get why he was called in. And also with COVID, you never know. There could have been some kind of restrictions with Yedlin coming into the team. All right, so midfield, there's a couple of interesting choices in this. We have a couple disappointments as well. Weston McKennie wasn't called in initially. Um, he has been struggling with a little slight knock at Juventus for, I believe, like a month or so now. He's kind of been playing through it because it's not something super serious, and I think it's probably best for him that he takes this international break to get like a week and a half, 2 week break, to hopefully heal up, and that way he can be strong for the rest of the season, be back to full match fitness. So he was unfortunately not called up, and then Tyler Adams was called up, but unfortunately because of the COVID restrictions, he would have had to quarantine on his way back, I believe, and so they removed him from the roster and they replaced him with Christian Capice. Not gonna lie, I've heard of the guy before, but I don't really know anything about him. He plays for Hobro in Denmark. Never heard of that team before. I hope he comes in and does bits. But yeah,
some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I wonder if he's the same kind of defensive midfielder as like a Tyler Adams, but we'll see how he does. And then they had some call ups that I like. Brendan Aronson, I like him getting called up. Obviously, he's made his move to RB Salzburg and has done really well. Yunus Musa. I was so looking forward to Yunus Musa, Tyler Adams, and Weston McKennie though. So hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later, but it's not going to happen this window. Owen Otasowie from Wolves. I don't. It's kind of weird. He's got a weird situation at Wolves. He was playing like a decent amount of minutes, not really as a starter, but he was coming off the bench and starting some cup games for Wolves. But I think since like late December, he hasn't played like at all. So I don't really know what's going on there. I look at Wolves lineups and he's like in the 18 almost every single game, but he just never plays. So hopefully he comes and plays well for the men's national team and maybe can catch the eye of Nuno Espirito at the Wolves manager. And then we have Luca De La Torre. He scored recently in the Dutch league for I don't know if it's Heracles or Heracles, but I don't mind that call up at all. I've seen him play at a youth level before. I thought he's a pretty technically sound player, and he's a guy that probably can come in and play like the number 10 position for us. So I like that call up. Sebastian Lejet, we mentioned him earlier. He's just kind of that steady. He's an MLS based player, but he's been solid for the national team for a few years now. I'm fully okay with that line. He's the guy that all the players like. A good guy to set an example for the younger guys in the camp. And then we have Kellen Acosta. If I have one complaint so far with this roster, it would be him. No offense to the guy, but I think he's played like 1 or 2 games for the national team like the last 3 years. It seemed like he kind of just had fallen out of favor ever since the World Cup qualifying debacle that was, almost, that was over 3 years ago. It seemed like he had fallen out of favor. And so I'm kind of confused as to why he was called, because I feel like there's some other midfielders in Europe that you could have called instead. But I'm not going to be too upset about it. It's friendly, so I'm not going to get into it too much. Hopefully, he comes in and does really well. But that was like my only I looked at the roster originally, and I was pretty surprised to see him there. But we'll see how it goes. Forwards, this is a pretty exciting group. We unfortunately kind of like Tyler Adams, Tim Weah had to be recalled from the roster because of COVID restrictions and quarantining, so we won't get to see him, which I'm pretty gutted by, because I think he's been playing really well for Lille, the past month or two. I wanted to see him turn that form into on the pitch for the national team, and so that's a little bit unfortunate. But he was replaced on the roster by a guy who hopefully gets his debut, a guy that committed to the national team recently, kind of like Yunus Musa, Jordan Sabechu. He was a replacement for Tim Weah. We were all sitting here pretty disappointed that he wasn't called up originally, because we wanted to see him. And then he gets there anyways. I think he's only going to be able to play 1 game, I want to say. He might get sent back after the first game. I'm not entirely sure, because it wasn't that the reason why he wasn't called up in the first place, according to Greg. So So he might only get to play in that 1 game. Hopefully he does at least get an appearance off the bench. So excited to see him. Nicholas Giacchini, who a couple days ago, he was also in the same boat as Weah and Adams, but then all of a sudden this morning it was reported that, okay, he actually will be able to make it to the camp. So that's good for him. I remember his performance for the national team. He had a brace for us against, I think that was when we played Panama back in November. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So hopefully more of that to come. And then we get into the really exciting ones for me. Josh Sargent, been in good form for Werder Bremen. I think, in my opinion, he's probably our number 9 as of right now. I feel like if we had to go play Mexico for a World Cup qualifier tomorrow, he would be the guy that I'd start at the number 9 position. And so excited to see him play. Daryl DK, who's really just bursted onto the scene over the past few months with Barnsley and getting into the national team picture. He got like a little bit of a cameo back in those friendlies back. I think it was in January, that January camp with the MLS-based players, right before he moved to Barnsley, actually. And it wasn't the greatest cameo. I'm not going to lie. I remember watching him. I was like, it's a little rough, but he's been in really good form for Barnsley. I'm excited to see him with the national team. And then we got our two guys, Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna, probably our 2 most talented guys on the roster. Hopefully get to see them on opposite sides of the wing, running the show. And yeah, I mean, I like the roster overall. I think it's a pretty strong roster. There's a lot of young guys on that roster that make you feel really excited about the future. And these are 2 games that, we probably should be able to win. They're not going to be easy games. Jamaica and Northern Ireland, they're not pushovers. They both have players that are established players in European leagues. So it's not going to be a pushover by any means. And yeah, really excited just to get some national team football back.
Yeah, I think it sucks that we're not going to have Weah and our 2 best midfielders, in my opinion, and Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. But if we did have those 3 guys in there, I think my dream lineup personally is Stefan in goal, Dest, and probably Anthony Robinson out on that wing back. The 2 Germans in the middle in Brooks and Richards, and then going into the midfield, you have McKennie and Adams as that mainly defensive midfielder. And then I like Gio as an attacking midfielder with Weah and Pulisic on the wings and then Sargent up top.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think it kind of depends too on the team. Like if we go and play Costa Rica at home, I like that lineup. But then if we go play at Mexico, I wouldn't mind taking Weah out, moving Gio out wide at the wing spot, and then putting Musa in the midfield as just a little bit more of a defensive protection. But that's probably – I mean, you're right. I think we're missing maybe 3 players that I would use for our ideal lineup right now. So it's a pretty strong lineup or a pretty strong roster.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, so I mean, going into those friendlies, what would be from this roster? What would be your starting lineup for that Jamaica game?
Jamaica,
yeah. So I feel like
they're pacey.
I feel like we probably will play our stronger lineup against Jamaica if I had to guess, and then rotate other guys in against Northern Ireland.
We should absolutely. I mean, basically, it's going to be the same, except because we don't have those key guys in the midfield. I think Musa should start in the midfield. Let's see, no McKennie and no Adams. It's tough. Maybe an Aronson or a Luca maybe in the midfield as well to replace those 2 guys. And then Sargent up top again, I think, and then Reyna and Pulisic on the wings in the same back line.
Yeah, I think I'd go Stefan and then pretty much same back line from right to left. Dest, Richards, Brooks, Robinson. Midfield, I'd go, I don't know who our number 6 is in this situation. I'd say probably Ochoa is our 6 because I think Musa is more of a number 8 box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
So I think Ochoa and Acosta are the 2 6s we have on this team. So I would say maybe Ochoa starts with the 6 in that game, and then Musa starts near him, at that number 8 role, and then I'd put Aronson or Lejet at the 10 if I'd choose. And then, wide left, Pulisic, wide right, Reyna, and then down the middle, Josh Sargent. And then hopefully, in the second game, we get rotations in. Like, I want Horvath or Adunze to play in goal. I would like Brian Reynolds to get his debut, whether that means, him at right back. And then, Reggie Cannon is only able to play the first game. So maybe he starts at right back the first game, and they I'm thinking, does he start at right back the first game, or does he start at left back? I could see him starting at left back first game, and then Robinson plays left back second game, along with whether you play Dest again or if you want to give Reynolds his full debut from the start. And then I could see like an Aaron Long and then Matt Mioska or Palmer Brown being in there. I don't mind Tim Ream being in the roster, but I don't particularly want him to start either of these 2 games. But the thing that makes me nervous is that we've seen him under Berhalter before play left back. So I hope he wasn't brought into the lineup or to the roster to play left back in one of these games. Because we're not playing it like if he was playing left back against a team that we know is going to have 70% possession, I wouldn't be too upset. But we should have more of the ball against both of these teams. So, and he doesn't really provide much going forward. In that second game, I wouldn't be against Acosta getting a run out. I wouldn't be against Capiz getting a run out. And if De La Torre doesn't start the first game, start him at the 10 in the second game. And then, I want to see Daryl DK probably start up top in that second game.
Yeah.
And then as for the wingers, I mean, you look at the wingers in this team, it's literally Pulisic and Reyna anyways. So are they going to have to start the second game out? The only thing I will say is Aronson can play out wide. He can play on the left side, left wing. So maybe he plays there in the second game and you give a break to like Pulisic or Reyna. So, but hopefully see some rotation and hopefully 2 W's for the national team.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
All right, enough talk about the men's national team. International break, so we will be talking about that some more next week. But nothing to talk about as previews-wise for the Big Six this upcoming week because of that international break. So we're going to do something a little bit different. But before we get into that, we got to get into our Sling Speaks segment of the podcast. Sling, take us away.
So as everyone knows, it is March. It is March, and things are getting hot here in the States. For those of you in the UK or over there in Europe, things are getting hot here in the United States. We're gambling our asses off on some college basketball now.
You say we very loosely.
Shut your fucking mouth. We, Americans, are betting on lots of basketball, and I want you to get in on it. I want you to go and sign up for Bovada right now. I want you to DM me on Twitter at Ryan_Sling before you do, though, and talk to me, and we'll get you sign up for Bovada, and we'll get you going, and we'll get you winning a lot of money. All right, big things coming. Big things coming your way. Join the fun, March Madness, baby.
But to scam these people out of their money, you're gonna lose these people money. That's just despicable.
Not a chance.
We're gonna have bad reviews now because you're just over here promoting false news.
Not a chance. Not a chance, buddy.
So, yeah, like we said, no Premier League games this week. International break is on the horizon. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to make some predictions. It won't be our normal predictions. We are going to give an update on our predictions for the top 4 and relegation battle that we predicted back in our first episode. And we're also going to predict the 5, 6, 7 spots, which unless Southampton somehow win the FA Cup, all 3 of those spots will be Europa League spots. And then we are going to also give our predictions for our Champions League and Europa League winners this year. So I'm just going to get us right. I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to give my Champions League and Europa League predictions right quick. Champions League, I'm sorry, Man City, but I have seen you bottle the Champions League so many times before in the past when you have teams that are capable of winning it. So until you do win it, I just don't know if I can pick you with another team like Bayern Munich out there, a team that I think is kind of similar to Man City, like just when it comes to their dominance over opponents. But I also think Bayern have a little bit of an edge in one spot, and that's Robert Lewandowski. I think Sergio Aguero is a brilliant striker. He's a world-class striker, but the problem is he's been hurt for a long while, just coming back from it now. Maybe he'll get back into healthy, full fitness and top form by the time that they would potentially play Bayern in the Champions League. But I still think because of a guy like Lewandowski, that will give Bayern the edge, and I could see Bayern just edging Man City out in the Champions League and winning it for the second straight year. And then Europa League, speaking of betting and gambling, this is my advice to you all. Put all of your savings on Arsenal. That's all I have to say. Here you go, Jake.
In the Champions League, for me, it's pretty simple. Chelsea's going to win it all.
Yeah,
there's really no other competition that I see that could beat us. So
except basically every other team in the tournament. But
Stupid ass
respect. You're going to respect Porto. That's all I have to say.
We're going to disrespect the fuck out of Porto. That's what we're going to do.
Porto big.
Oh, yeah?
We got a stack on that.
Oh, God. I'll put money down right now. Fuck you.
How much you want to put down?
20.
20?
On Bovada, not against you po-ass bitch.
That's weird. It'd be a lot easier just to exchange money with friends than it would.
You fucking degenerate.
No.
And you know what?
Fuck you.
Because not just because of that, but also just to add to this, Arsenal's not winning Europa. Man United is.
I mean, that just makes you look stupid.
I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer literally can't get past semifinals, so he's going to be at least out by then.
We'll see.
He'll bottle it. So, my Champions League pick, I'm going with Bayern. I actually flipped a coin on this earlier between Bayern and Man City, and Man City lost the coin flip, so it goes to Bayern. And then Europa League, I'm rolling with the Gunners. I don't really know how you couldn't. They're the best team in that competition, despite what dumbass Jake thinks. And yeah, we'll see what
We'll
see what happens.
Best team in the competition.
Not even debating.
Not even a fucking debate. Fuck you.
7 places behind Man United. 7.
We've already been over. Man United have just the luckiest luck of all the luck,
and we have no luck and get shit on.
And Man United, I mean, United literally haven't beaten us ever since Arteta has taken over as manager, so that's something key to remember. Plus, we won't even play them. Like I said, they're going to lose in the semifinals to either Roma or Ajax, and then we'll beat either Roma or Ajax in the final. So, putting my stamp of approval, my stamp of certified guaranteed on that.
Look it.
Time to update our top 4 and relegation predictions, as well as our top 7. I'm actually just going to run through my top 7 real quick. Obviously, 1 through 4 are Champions League, 5 through 7 are Europa League. And I'm going Man City in order. Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Leicester City. In 5th, I have Spurs. In 6th, I have West Ham United. And in 7th, I have Liverpool. What say y'all?
1 through 7 for me, starting at 1. Obviously, Man City's dubbing. They're finishing first, no question. I'm also going to go Man United second. I'm also saying Chelsea jumps Leicester to go to third. Saying Leicester finishes 4th. Tottenham finished 5th. West Ham finished 6th. And I'm saying Everton finishes 7th. And Liverpool is not in the race.
Pretty rough. From champions to not even making Europa League.
Yep.
Let's see here. I'm going to say that the top 5 will remain the same. I think top 5 holds. I think it'll be Man City, Man United, Leicester. Chelsea's not going to jump Leicester. And then West Ham will stay in there at 5. And then I'm going to go Liverpool at 6, Tottenham at 7, and Everton at 8.
What the fuck does 8th have to do?
Nothing, but he's got Everton at 8th.
I'll keep Everton at 8th, and then Arsenal at 9.
Yikes. We didn't have to bring up Arsenal being 9th. You just kind of ran into it.
I ran over. I accidentally spilled over into 8th, so I was like, might as well go down to 9.
No, you still could have just stopped at 8.
Yeah, through the whole. Why not?
All right, anyways, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to the bottom 3. I'm going to go bottom up. I'm going to start in 20. Sheffield United at 20, West Brom at 19. Pretty straightforward for me. I guess you could see maybe that flipping because I think both are playing for nothing, so you never know what happens there. But no, I think it'll be West Brom 19th, Sheffield United 20th. And then I think 18 and 17 will swap by the end of the season. We kind of had a check out of we looked at the games that both Newcastle and Fulham had, and Newcastle has a little bit more of a tougher run-in than Fulham, albeit Fulham's run-in is pretty tough as well. But I mean, Newcastle's is just crazy. They're playing like West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester.
Play the top half of the team.
Yeah, like pretty much every single game almost. And then they also have the big one at the end, the last game of the season. Fulham play Newcastle, and which could be a crazy game.
It could be the decider of who gets relegated.
I'm looking forward to that game. Obviously, all those games on the last day of the weekend all happen at the same time, so I probably will be watching Arsenal, but I'm probably gonna have another screen going watching Newcastle and Fulham play. And I think even though Newcastle have a game in hand, Fulham have played 30, Newcastle have only played 29. The way Newcastle have played since like the 8th or 9th game of the season has just been dreadful. And I think that they'll probably just lose that game in hand anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I think Newcastle could either be like maybe level on points with Fulham, or maybe they're like a point ahead. But then I rate Fulham to come out and get the job done on that final day of the weekend, do what they need to do to stay up, keep our our U.S. men's national teamers, Anthony and Timothy in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think me and Sling both agree with exactly what you said. That Fulham's going to jump Newcastle, and Newcastle's going to get relegated for basically everything you said. Newcastle's got a way tougher schedule going ahead. I think Fulham pulls more points than them, and I think either Fulham is going to be tied with Newcastle by the time that they play, or Fulham might be behind a point or two, and it is going to come down to that game on who gets relegated.
So then something big just to think about is that Newcastle, even though they're ahead of Fulham, they actually have 5 goals worse in the goal differential. That could be something that's key at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that goal differential, especially in a relegation race that's really tight, could be the difference. And
whether they need a draw or a win.
Yeah, and if they're both equal on points, you would think that Fulham would probably have the better goal differential in the end.
Yeah.
So you feeling the same way, Sling?
I mean, shit. Y'all don't think Sheffield has a chance to come up? Y'all think they're on a play?
Absolutely fucking not.
I think we can still win the league. Woo!
I'm going to say that they also do not have a chance of getting out of relegation. They're going to fucking hell and going down. Neither does West Brom. Holy shit, Sling can't speak today. And then obviously I think Fulham will jump Newcastle. Should be fun. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right, well that signals an end of the pod. Before we get out of here, we gotta tell the listeners what we learned this week. Sling, what did you learn this week?
I learned that Jake takes pride in Mickey Mouse rings, and I learned that Buddy Boeheim is an actual GOAT. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The White Hope.
The White Hope.
I learned that Sling's a second place merchant and hasn't won anything yet, so that's that. I also learned steroids are bad. I didn't learn that, but I've further advanced my knowledge that steroids are bad.
Yeah, Jake was taking steroids and he's now seeing the results.
Really small, and he was like, "Oh shit, I just
yeah."
No, I shared a TikTok with Sling and Logan of a guy that was doing like 5 plates on each side for incline bench press and tore his pec from his shoulder across. And it's a very gruesome, hard to watch video if you work
really
out a lot
hot.
and you know kind of what it takes.
That was disgusting.
So your discretion's advised if you
just
do
don't
check
watch
that
it.
out.
Just don't watch it.
Yeah, I would say not to watch it if your stomach is
Hey,
down.
you should watch it, but you also shouldn't watch it.
No, you just, oh God, I don't even want to think about it. It was disgusting. The pain, oh my God. Bro, you like the feeling of your pectoral muscle just separating from your shoulder and just rolling up, like, oh
coming
my God.
off of the bone.
That's hot.
Disgusting. Holy hell. I learned that, speaking of March Madness, that college basketball referees are basically on par with Premier League referees. They're absolute dog shit.
Please show respect to the college referees.
Dude, referees, they're just bad in general, but dude, the college basketball referees are really bad. But anyways, I learned that. And I also learned that, this is something that I didn't just learn. Same with the referees. I kind of knew they were bad too, but this isn't something that I just learned. But obviously, looking at myself in the webcam right now, I'm balding. I need Rogaine to sponsor me because my hairline's kind of receding.
Holy fuck.
And I also have
flying bee going on.
I kind of have like a bald spot working at the top of my head. So I'm only 22 years old, so I really don't need this to happen right now at this point in my life. So Rogaine, please sponsor this podcast and also give me free stuff. Whatever other hair, growth companies. What did you just do? Whatever other hair growth companies want to sponsor this podcast, and in particular me, please do so. It's a good thing that this is only an audio release because we're not even going to talk about what just happened. But yeah, you guys won't get to see my horrid hairline. It's pretty bad. Thankfully, I have kind of long hair, so I can cover up the hairline. But you can't really cover up the bald spots, so it's a little. I'll just start wearing hats here soon. Anyways, learned that. Kind of disgusted by it. This is happening about 20 years too early in my life, so I need help. Anyways, we are going to get out of here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Shout out to our recurring listeners, and then shout out to anybody else that's new. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still here with us at the end of the pod, we really appreciate you. If you enjoyed what you heard, if you're listening on podcast sources, like Apple or Spotify. We'd love it if you could leave a review, especially a 5-star review if you really enjoyed what you learned or what you heard. And then also if you're listening to us on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel for future content that goes to our people listening to us on podcasts as well. We're going to release some future content other than just podcasts on YouTube. And we're also on other social media platforms, Twitter and TikTok, at Clueless Yanks on both of those platforms. We tweet about some of the games on Twitter, and then we release some kind of snippets of the pod, even some unreleased portions of the pod we'll put on TikTok for some quick little laughs and giggles. So follow us on there, interact with us. Shout out to everybody that listened. Same day and same time next week, Monday evening releases here in the States, early Tuesday morning releases over in Europe. And listen to it on your way to work. Listen to it while you're at work. Listen to it while you're in the bedroom. Listen to it.
Yes, sir.
Listen to it whenever you want to.
In the shower, baby,
And,
while you're bathing.
Yeah, sure. A little descriptive, but yeah, listen to it then. But thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Adios, muchachos.
Sayonara.
Take it easy, everyone.